Okay, so today's story is one of the weirdest stories I'm ever gonna tell on this channel. And I'm gonna say this, yes, this may sound really illegal. So if YouTube's watching or anyone's watching that is a part of, like, you know, law enforcement, I wanna say this was way long ago. And honestly, the way the story goes, I don't think ended up staying illegal, if that makes any sense. But before we get into the story, make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Seriously, it means a lot when you guys do, and it helps the channel grow. Other than that, let's just jump straight into it. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to a really embarrassing story. So today's story all takes place back in my grade 9 year. Now, when I was in grade 9, I was a simple guy that, I'm not gonna lie, was always in the mood. This was like the peak of my puberty hit, and I won't lie to you, I was beating my eggplant left and right. And I remember one time, early on in the early days of grade 9, like really early, like I'm talking about the second week of grade 9, I remember our teacher walked up in front of the class and was explaining how the leadership kids wanted all the grade 9s to do a school sleep-in. Now, if you guys don't know what a school sleep-in is, basically it's when, you know, a bunch of students that are in a certain class or grade sleep inside the school and have the experience of sleeping in school. I don't know why, because usually the best part of the day is to leave school, but apparently people enjoy doing sleep-in. Now me, I thought this was very odd, and I remember I was kind of weirded out at first, but obviously since my crush was going, that was in my class at the time, I said, why not? I want to be part of the cool kids that sleep inside of school, even though it's still pretty weird in my mind, but still, I wanted to be one of them. So I remember I ended up basically going home that day, getting super excited about Friday when the school sleep-in was happening. And that day came around, and let's just say things got really weird. Because I remember the day of the school sleep-in on Friday after school, I ended up basically staying at school and hanging out, basically waiting for the school sleep-in to start. I didn't want to go home because I thought, you know, there's no point. I could just go to the mall real quick, pick up something to eat, and then come back and just stay there. So that's what I ended up doing. I was just chilling, sitting down and just hanging out. And then out of nowhere, I saw a bunch of leadership kids at the school basically getting ready for the school sleep-in. When I saw them, I remember I saw one girl there that was actually really attractive. She was a tall blonde girl, and I'm not gonna lie to you, she was like the hot stuff. Now, real quick, I should probably mention before anything, all the leadership kids were in grade 12. And remember, I was in grade 9. Obviously, there was a 3-year difference between me and all the cool leadership people. I say cool, but in reality, when I was in grade 12, I ended up joining leadership. It was not that cool. Anyways, going on with the story, I remember I saw them and they were all basically planning this thing out. And the girl in the blonde ended up seeing me down the hallway and walked up to me. She walked up to me and said, "Oh, like, what grade are you in?" "Oh, I'm in grade 9. "Oh my goodness, are you part of the school sleep-in this year?" Yeah, I'm gonna be sleeping at the school." "Okay, well, like, here, like, I can give you like an early tour if you want." "Yeah, okay, cool, I'm down for that." I'm gonna say this much, I tried acting like a real mature person, or I guess more mature than the average grade 9, because I didn't want, you know, to embarrass myself, making her think that I wasn't cool. So I was trying to act cool, if that makes any sense. And I remember as she was like, you know, walking me around and stuff, the school sleep-in started, and this girl was always by my side. Of course, she would go for like certain breaks to check on other kids, but this girl was always sticking by me, and she always like wanted to talk about things that I like. Like, for example, she played Call of Duty, and so did I. She was a gymnast, and I was well, I still only played video games, but we got a lot in common. At least I think so. Anyways, going on from there, I remember basically me, I was really attracted to this girl, and I thought she was super hot. But the one thing that this girl had was an ick. If you guys don't know what an ick is, basically an ick is when you have a certain thing about a certain someone that makes you kind of grossed out. Meaning that, like, for example, if I had a crush on a girl, but I got an ick from her, chances are that me and her would never work out because that ick would always bother me. Kind of like a pet peeve. Going on with the story, I remember this girl had an ick, and the ick was that she always had the creepiest smile. Meaning that when she would stare at me, she would stare at me as if she was like, I don't know, like one of the creepy smile girls that like are just really scary and just don't feel comfortable at all. And obviously, I'm not gonna lie to you, every time she stared at me and smiled in a really creepy way, I would just look at her cherries to kind of just make up for it. She had a nice pair of cherries, so am I really losing there? I remember it ended up getting really late into the sleep-in, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it started getting pretty late to the point where it was like almost like, I don't know, like 9:30. And I remember me and her, we got along, we started talking a lot and stuff, and a lot of people and other students started noticing that we were really getting close. And it got to the point where people started making jokes about us, and people were saying how, like, you know, she was interested in me and stuff like that. But obviously, in my mind, I was thinking, no way, because she was in grade 12. I was in grade 9. It wouldn't make sense. Now, this is the part of the story where things might sound really illegal. Just bear with me here. I remember when it got to the point of the night where basically all the grade 9s were supposed to sleep and go to bed and nap for the night. I remember I was really kind of just like nervous and honestly kind of worried because this would be the first time I ever slept inside a school. And basically I was like really getting uncomfortable. So what I decided to do was walk up to the girl that, you know, I was basically sticking with the entire night. That was a really hot leadership girl that was blonde, and walked up to her and said, I have a question. Is it cool like if like there's like a spot where like, you know, I can sleep without like a bunch of people around me? She looked at me and said, do you want like a private room? Yeah, like can I get like a private room? That'd be awesome. I mean, yeah, you can get a private room, but like I would have to check in on you like once in a while. Yeah, okay. I'm cool with that. And as I said that, I remember I smiled at her, like, you know, trying to basically be cool, but I guess she took it a very different way. She ended up smiling back really creepily and ended up walking me down a hallway to a separate room. Now this was some ordinary classroom, but there was absolutely nothing in it. It was just a blank, dead classroom. Like no chairs, no desks, nothing. Just an empty classroom. But basically I ended up setting up, putting my beanbag chair down, and I got all comfortable and everything. And then she ended up telling me, okay, so like, I'm gonna check in on you later on. I just have some stuff to do, but I'll come in here, okay? Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, just come whenever you want. I'll be waiting. Now, I said I'll be waiting as a joke because obviously I wouldn't be waiting. Chances are I would have passed out. And she just took that as a really weird way, smiled, then winked at me, and then went out of the classroom. Now, the winking was odd, okay? The winking was really odd, but I didn't care. I remember I ended up just laying down, watching YouTube videos on my phone to basically make myself pass out. Yes, in a way, I was an iPad kid because I would always watch like YouTube videos as I was sleeping. It's like a very common thing that happens nowadays with me. Like even a movie or something, like I just need to watch something so I can go to sleep. And I remember I was laying down watching Jacksepticeye, and I passed out and I was out like a light. But in reality, not all of me. Now on this channel, I don't really talk about dreams that I have, but basically I ended up getting a wet dream about my crush in me, and you know, things got really weird in the dream where me and her, we ended up doing the devil's tango. And then out of nowhere, and I mean out of nowhere, my body got really cold, and then I woke up. I woke up and my body was freezing. I don't know why I was so cold, but when I woke up, I ended up looking right up to the ceiling, and I ended up not seeing the ceiling. I ended up seeing the leadership girl on top of me, not wearing a shirt. Yeah, so I'm looking at like a giant pair of cherries right in front of me, and I'm like I was so confused. The leadership girl ended up looking down at me saying, oh, like I knew this would wake you up. Now usually at this point, I usually have a response of fighting or flighting. Thing is that I didn't either. What I decided to do was basically stay there and do the devil's tango. So me and her, we ended up making out, and yeah, we ended up doing the devil's tango because like why not? Her cherries were already out, like she was attractive. Like am I really losing here? Now when I think about this in the present time, I'm not gonna lie to you, she was in grade 12, I was in grade 9. That's morally just disgusting, but I will say this, it comes out with a really cool story. No, it was pretty illegal, and I'm gonna say this right now, warning to everyone watching this, don't do what this girl did. It's inappropriate, it's wrong, and it's probably majorly illegal. Now going on with the story, I remember basically we ended up doing the devil's tango, and then afterwards me and her passed out right beside each other. We passed out right beside each other, and then the next day we ended up sleeping in, and the janitor ended up catching us basically sleeping beside each other. He ended up basically telling us how we're not allowed to do that and stuff, but obviously this janitor wasn't like the school janitor, it was like the after hours janitor that just gets paid to go and clean. So we didn't get actually really in trouble, but apparently the rumor went around that we ended up doing the devil's tango. And to be honest, me and her, we actually ended up becoming friends with benefits throughout the whole school year. Moral of the story is, after all this, is that be careful where you sleep and who you sleep with. It's very dangerous and it could lead to a lot of issues. Surround yourself with people that you are comfortable sleeping around, if that makes sense. Anyways, guys, that is basically it for today's story. Make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like I always say, just follow for more embarrassing but crazy stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.